opportunity because you did not show your house in a Zoom meeting, or to be more specific, in a Google Meet meeting. Now, the story is I was interviewing with the head of HR. We were talking probably 30 minutes at this point. He stops and says, one of our company values is people who are really transparent. We value radical candor and people who are just real. And I say, yeah, I love that. That aligns directly with my experience. I try to be very direct and clear, but kind to people. And we go on, and he says, for example, when you meet with the chief of staff, who's the next step in the process, they'll probably call you out for having a background on in your Google Meet meeting. And I'm like, what about that doesn't mean I'm real? So he explains how that's not real. We want to see your house. We want to see the background. And I said, I was actually visibly uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, that's weird. But ultimately, and I actually said directly, that's not a representation of a candidate, right? So then fast forward, we're ending the conversation, and he says, true story, by the way, I'm not making this up. He says, we're really impressed by you. You're definitely one of the top candidates. I'm going to have a conversation with the team and let you know about next steps. A few days later, I get a message telling me I'm not moving forward. You cannot convince me that I didn't move forward because of that background in the Google Meet meeting. That was so weird.
I don't know if I've ever had an interview situation where a person didn't get the job simply because of their background. In addition to that, I don't know that I've ever had a situation where the background was even an issue. Now, I will say that it is important that you have a nice, clean background. And based on the screen capture that he had, it looked like it was fine to me. So I don't know what the issue would have been, why they would have required him to show his background. There is one situation that I can think of. If you're working from home and you're going to speak to clients there's video when you're speaking to clients, not just audio. You want to be able to see the environment in which your clients, your customers are going to, interact with him. You don't want him to have inappropriate pictures, items behind him, around him. You want to have a really good picture of when my client calls in, they're going to be able to see exactly what's there. I'll see him, I'll see what's around him, and they want to kind of check that off. That is about it. I mean, other than that, I don't know if there's a reason why seeing your background is a requirement. Now, if your background is inappropriate, sure, they could kick you out. But other than that, I don't get it. I would just say this: if you're going on an interview, if you're doing any type of Zoom or Teams or whatever, always be aware of your background. I don't know if you're in a Teams meeting, you want to have the Bahamas, the Bahamas behind you, even though it may appear to be tranquil, a nice backdrop, but I don't know that you want to have it. You probably want to have something that's more professional. I think his background is fine. Looks like the background is a library or something. You may want to be careful about what background you choose, but it doesn't have to be your own house. So just keep in mind that you want to, think of a background or think of a location that's fairly neutral, that's appropriate for the environment that you're in. If you're at work, make sure it's an appropriate work background. Make sure your lighting is appropriate. Make sure your audio is appropriate. Make sure you're in an environment where you don't have a bunch of distractions, of course. There are certain basic things that you want to do whenever you're engaging in a Teams or Zoom or virtual interview or what have you. There are some basic things that you want to do there. But again, unless you're applying for a job that your customers are going to see you, it's going to be on camera, I don't know why that background wouldn't be that important. But again, I would always err on the side of caution and have a very professional, minimal background. And again, I think, his library background is fine. I guess he's trying to be a librarian or something. So, don't know. Anyway, thanks for listening. Goodbye.